War in the 21st century is often imagined through the lens of high-tech drones, precision missiles, and satellites that see every move. But for the soldiers and civilians on the ground in Ukraine, the question of who controls the skies is still a matter of life and death. Imagine waking up in Kyiv to the sound of sirens, only to learn that another swarm of Shahed drones is overhead, or that a cruise missile has struck an airbase hundreds of miles away. For Ukraine, regaining even a shred of air dominance is not just strategy, it's survival. And that's where Poland and Slovakia stepped into the story, donating around 33 Soviet-era MiG-29 fighter jets to the Ukrainian Air Force. At first glance, this might sound like a game changer. Fast, maneuverable, Mach 2 capable fighters entering the fight. But here's the twist. These aircraft were designed in the 1980s, and aviation experts are already questioning how much of a difference Cold War relics can really make in a modern battlefield dominated by radar-guided missiles, stealth aircraft, and electronic warfare. Yet, dismissing them outright would be a mistake, because in war, even old tools can turn the tide if placed in the right hands. And let's not forget, Ukraine's pilots have a reputation for squeezing miracles out of aging hardware. Remember the legend of the ghost of Kyiv? While that heroic ace turned out to be a myth, the truth behind the myth is even more powerful. Real Ukrainian MiG-29 pilots like Major Vadym Voroshylov, call sign Karaya, who shot down 5 Iranian Shahed 136 kamikaze drones and 2 cruise missiles in a single night before being forced to eject from his own stricken jet. Stories like these aren't just combat reports, they're living proof that the human spirit can make even an outdated machine deadly. But before we rush to celebrate, we need to ask the uncomfortable question. What happens when you bring yesterday's fighter jets into today's missile-saturated war zones? Because the battlefield has changed, and much of the aircraft lost so far aren't being taken down in dramatic dogfights. They're being picked off by ground-based air defense systems, missile strikes on bases, and portable launchers carried by soldiers in the field. In fact, 7 Ukrainian MiGs have already been destroyed on the ground, and many more crippled by Russian missile strikes. This raises a bigger point. Maybe the issue isn't just what kind of planes Ukraine flies, but whether any plane, no matter how advanced, can dominate skies thick with radars and surface-to-air missiles. Still, the question lingers. If both the MiG-29 and the F-16 are aging warhorses from the same Cold War era, why are Ukrainian pilots so desperate for the American fighter? Is it really about the technology, or is it about the message? The promise of Western support, of modern upgrades, of a future where Ukraine isn't fighting with hand-me-downs, but standing shoulder to shoulder with NATO's finest. Hold that thought, because in the next section, we're going to dig into how drones, radars, and the silent war in the electromagnetic spectrum are reshaping the skies over Ukraine in ways far more dangerous than a dogfight at Mach 2.
Reveals the truth of modern warfare. Most of the battles for control above Ukraine aren't being fought at Mach 2 with dogfights straight out of a Top Gun movie. They're being fought in silence, through blips on a radar screen, buzzing drones in the night, and missiles that strike from beyond the horizon. The MiG-29s are fast and fierce, yes, but their greatest weakness is that they're often outmatched by invisible enemies. The radars and surface-to-air missile systems that cover the battlefield like an iron dome of death. Think about it. Over half of Ukraine's aircraft losses haven't been from jet versus jet combat, but from weapons fired from the ground. Portable Igla launchers that a single soldier can carry on his shoulder, S-300 batteries with missiles streaking across dozens of kilometers, or long-range cruise missiles that destroy jets while they're still parked on their runways. It's almost cruel. An aircraft built to fight in the skies never even gets the chance to take off before being turned into twisted metal on the ground. But here's the thing. Ukraine has adapted. They've turned their own vulnerability into strength by flipping the script on Russia. Instead of chasing dogfights, Ukrainian forces have become masters of asymmetric aerial warfare, using drones not only as eyes in the sky, but as weapons that harass, overwhelm, and sometimes humiliate Russian defenses. Remember those viral TikTok clips from accounts like @OperatorThunder? The ones where a Ukrainian drone camera shows the last seconds before slamming into a Russian target, sometimes even mocking them with captions before impact? Those aren't just entertainment. They're psychological warfare, a reminder to Russian pilots and ground crews that they're never truly safe. And it's not just small drones. It's Iranian Shaheds flooding Ukrainian skies like a swarm of metallic locusts, and larger UAVs that turn radar stations into smoldering ruins. Now, here's where humor meets horror. If you thought your Wi-Fi dropping out during a Netflix binge was frustrating, imagine your radar failing for 10 seconds in a battlefield where 10 seconds could mean a missile lock on your jet. The invisible war of jamming, spoofing, and electronic interference is just as deadly as bullets and bombs. And Ukraine has proven surprisingly clever in this arena. Their pilots fly dangerously low to avoid radar sweeps, hugging the terrain at speeds where a single mistake means death, while their drone operators play cat and mouse with Russian electronic warfare systems. Still, for all their bravery, Ukrainian MiG-29 pilots admit the truth. Their jets weren't built to survive this kind of electronic and missile-heavy battlefield. That's why they're begging for Western aircraft. Not because the F-16 is brand new, it's not, but because it comes with better radars, modern avionics, precision weapons, and the ability to integrate into NATO's intelligence network, where satellites, AWACS planes, and ground-based radars all talk to each other in real time. In short, they want to level the playing field in a war where the real fight isn't just about speed or cannons, but about who can see first, who can jam faster, and who can strike from the shadows. And here's the cliffhanger. What happens when Ukraine finally does get its hands on F-16s, or maybe even more advanced Western jets? Will it turn the tide, or will Russia unleash even deadlier air defenses in response? That's what we'll tackle in Part 3, as we connect today's air battles to the bigger historical picture and reveal why control of the skies could decide not just the war in Ukraine, but the future of warfare itself.
When we look at Ukraine's desperate fight for the skies today, it's impossible not to see echoes of history, because every great war has had its defining struggle for air dominance. From the Spitfires of Britain battling German bombers in World War II, to American F-86 Sabres dueling MiG-15s in Korea, to the precision air campaigns over Iraq and Kosovo that showed the world what modern air power could achieve. But here's the sobering truth. Ukraine isn't fighting with an overwhelming fleet of stealth bombers or cutting-edge jets. They're fighting with machines designed decades ago, patched together, upgraded on the fly, and pushed to their absolute limits by pilots who know that every mission could be their last. It's inspiring, it's terrifying, and it raises a brutal question. Does bravery alone win air wars anymore, or has technology become the deciding factor? The Ukrainians have proven that even aging MiG-29s can still sting, shooting down drones, cruise missiles, and occasionally even Russian jets. Yet they also know they're playing on borrowed time, because as history shows us, wars of attrition eventually favor the side with deeper stockpiles, more advanced systems, and the ability to adapt faster. Russia has failed to gain air superiority, yes, but they're still hammering Ukraine with missiles from afar, still probing with electronic warfare, still searching for the weak spots in a defense stretched thin. And so Ukraine's hope lies in the promise of Western jets, not because an F-16 is a magic bullet, but because it represents integration into a system where data, intelligence, and technology merge into a force multiplier far beyond what a lone MiG pilot can achieve. Yet there's irony here. The F-16 itself is no spring chicken. First flown in the 1970s, it's as old as the very MiGs Ukraine is flying now. But with decades of upgrades and NATO integration, it becomes something else entirely. So the real question isn't about age, but about adaptation. Can Ukraine adapt quickly enough with whatever tools they're given to keep Russia permanently grounded? Or will Moscow find a way to unleash new tactics, new systems, or perhaps even foreign supply jets of their own to swing momentum back? This is the fear and the fascination of watching air power evolve in real time. We are witnessing the laboratory of modern war, and the results will echo far beyond Ukraine. Think about it. The tactics tested in these skies will shape how the US, China, NATO, and even smaller nations prepare for the next generation of conflicts.
drone swarms, electronic jamming, portable air defenses, they're rewriting the rulebook before our very eyes. And here's the cliffhanger I'll leave you with. If Ukraine's skies are today's testing ground, what happens tomorrow when these same tactics and technologies are deployed in flashpoints like the Taiwan Strait or the South China Sea? Will air combat as we know it even exist? Or will the age of the dogfight officially end, replaced by wars of algorithms and autonomous machines? The answers are uncertain, but one thing is clear. The outcome in Ukraine will set the tone for decades of military doctrine to come. And if you've made it this far, you already know this story is bigger than jets. It's about courage, adaptation, and the terrifying speed of change. If you want to dive deeper into how China, NATO, and Russia are preparing for the future of warfare and what it means for global stability, click on the video appearing now on your screen. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next.